Hola, ¿qué tal amigos de Lemas? Yo soy Fátima López para Lemas de Librerías Gandhi y el día de hoy nos encontramos con una autora norteamericana, un tema muy particular, muy interesante y muy desafiante también, como es el abuso sexual. Y bueno, pues es un tema profundamente vulnerable. Este es un libro que se publicó en 1991 y que ha tenido muchísima resonancia en todo el mundo y realmente me sorprende que apenas haya sido traducido al español y que lo está presentando HarperCollins por primera vez al español, un libro que de verdad ha tenido muchísimas ventas con una verdadera especialista de cómo sanar nuestra sexualidad. Entonces, vaya que es un tema desafiante, es un tema que nos pone vulnerables, pero es un tema del que debemos hablar y ella va justamente a comentar mucho de esto, de hablar, de platicarlo, de romper el silencio. Entonces, tomemos juntos un gran respiro para poder hablar de este tema. Antes de empezar la entrevista, me gustaría compartirles algunas cifras que la propia autora nos menciona en la introducción y son cifras que realmente me produjeron un tremendo shock, porque fíjense que una de cada tres niñas ha sufrido abuso sexual. Una de cada tres niñas. De los casos conocidos, uno de cada seis niños, hombres, ha sufrido abuso sexual. Y aparte, Harper nos manda también aquí una encuesta nacional de seguridad pública urbana, en donde dice que el 98.6% de los casos de abuso sexual no han sido hablados o denunciados. Eso quiere decir que probablemente sean muchísimos más casos. Justamente la autora le ha llamado una epidemia. Entonces, es un tema importantísimo, es un tema que hay que hablar, que hay que comentar en pareja, en familia, y también la cuestión de la sexualidad. Es un libro súper completo, entonces vamos a empezar ya con la entrevista con Wendy Maltz, que nos acompaña desde Oregon. Hi, Wendy. How are you?
Hi, I'm fine. Pleased to be here.
Thank you so much. I just said that you live in Oregon, right? Am I right?
Right?
Okay.
That's right. I live in Eugene, Oregon.
Oh, wow. Thank you. So, there are so many things that I want to talk about this book. First of all, I am so astonished that it was first published in 1991 and you have sold hundreds of thousands of books around the world. And this is the first time this book is translated to Spanish. It took 30 years to have the Spanish version. Why is that?
Yes. Well, there have been many requests for it to be in Spanish over the years, and I tried very hard to get a Spanish translation. Kept writing, sending the letters that were being sent to me, on to different publishers and HarperCollins to see. And I think what happened recently is that there has been a greater awareness about the problems caused by sexual abuse in Mexico and in other countries because of the Me Too movement,
Yes.
Yo También movement. And so public awareness is higher. There have been celebrities and other important people speaking out about the sexual abuse that they experienced. And the media has also focused more on large scale problems with sexual abuse in schools, with sports teams, with the church. And so there is an awareness that it is a serious problem affecting many people. You are not alone if this happened to you. And if you're struggling with repercussions from it, psychological and sexual, and in terms of relationships, that is very understandable. And we do have resources like this book that can help in very significant ways now.
Wow, yes, you are right. There's more public awareness around this topic. Actually, I was quite shocked to read the statistics. And
Yes.
you call this problem sexual abuse, you call it a pandemic. Sorry, an epidemic.
Yes, yes.
It is a strong
we have
word.
pandemics.
It is.
It is all over the world.
Another one. It is. This is another one, and it's quite important.
Right.
And I felt it was such a strong word.
Yes.
Why do you use that word?
Because sexual abuse has been around in human history for thousands and thousands of years. It's not really anything new. What's new is the awareness that it can cause lasting problems. And what's new is the amount of awareness there is for the suffering that people have because of it. And nowadays, there is more of a recognition of the beauty of sexuality and the positive aspects of sexuality, and that people have sexual rights, the right to make choices about their own sexuality and when to share sexuality and when not to. And so times have changed historically, and that has shifted things, but it's something that has been just a problem for many years. And I like to think in positive terms that now we have solutions.
Okay. In a way, and yes, I do find that you are very hopeful, like throughout the book, always.
Yes.
But this same week that we have the interview, I won't go deep into politics, but a governor in the United States was forced to resign and to step out because of sexual allegations of sexual harassment, But right here in Mexico, at least right now, that's kind of impossible, because there is a system that protects politicians, people from church, writers, intellectuals, like there's an entire system that keeps secrecy. And you talk about this, and also Evelyn Salinas, who writes the introduction, she's Mexican, and she also talks about it, that we have like a value of family unity, and that we don't want to break that. So we perpetuate secrecy, and we follow along with not speaking up. So what would be the first step to break that secrecy pact or mindset among our cultures?
Well, you and I right now are part of the first step, which is to openly discuss sexual abuse and the realities of the problems that it causes, to increase the public awareness and raise consciousness about it. I think, like in America, 25, 30 years ago, when I was a young practicing psychologist, then there were movements of people even marching in the streets to take back the night. They were called Take Back the Night marches, to increase awareness about sexual assault and make the streets safer for women and for men. And that grew into an awareness of all the levels of abuse that were going on in families. There only started to be books on incest and sexual abuse in the 1970s when I was trained and started working as a counselor. And so, I think it takes people getting together, creating organizations, putting on conferences, petitioning to their government, saying we want more resources, we need more resources. And it takes people getting trained in counseling skills that can help trauma victims to be able to recover. And I see that happening, and I hear about it happening in Mexico, that there is a whole new generation of educated young people in their 30s, and 40s. That's young to me. who have trainings and are backgrounds in psychology now, who are seeing people come in for counseling who are saying they are suffering from problems with depression, anxiety, sometimes medical problems, a lot of inflammatory conditions and gastrointestinal conditions can be related to headaches, even related to sexual abuse histories. But people, coming in with problems as well as very concrete sexual concerns, and they want help. And so now that there is a generation of new counselors and therapists in communities that can help. And I think in time, Mexico is going to see a lot of changes. I'm very hopeful there as people speak out. And it may take more women getting into positions of power for that to occur. That certainly was a factor, has been a factor in other countries.
Wow, absolutely. I hope so. So you were talking about something very interesting, that sexual abuse also may cause in adulthood other problems, such as drug abuse or eating disorders, a number of physical and psychological problems. And sometimes as adults, we treat that as the first, as the main problem, but that is just the first layer. So what I like about your book is that you go deep, like truly deep, to the even to the those moments that we don't even remember as children, So that's quite an invitation for me, like very courageous, because you just mentioned the victims. And victim is sometimes a word that is not as, that we like right now so much. But this is a courageous journey. I think so. What do you think, to go to therapy and to heal this sexual abuse issue?
I think it's critically, it's extremely beneficial when people do take this journey of sexual healing, because sexual abuse is an attack on a person's sexuality. We need to be able to see that word sex in sexual abuse. It is abuse to sexuality. Sex was used as a weapon, and it was sought as a target. And so the repercussions, impact a person. And I think our sexuality, human sexuality, is one of the most wonderful aspects that we have of being alive and being human. It's how we feel about ourselves as a man, a woman, or transgender, just who we are in our bodies, has to do with how we feel about being able to touch and share in an intimate communication with another individual, and feel pleasure on our own or with a partner in our bodies. And it's a core aspect of who we are. I got into this field because I saw a connection between feeling good about oneself sexually and overcoming sexual problems and being able to be more assertive in the world, more confident, and more creative. And this pattern kept coming up as people healed their sexual issues and problems. They were able to go for that job, or speak up about their needs, or make a difference in their communities in new ways, and not carry the burden of years of shame and secrecy and silence. It just is so freeing, like you're shedding a whole skin and finding, allowing your true self to be free.
Wow.
I know, this is my passion. It's been a passion for decades, and I don't get tired of it, because it, I think people need to talk about sex like they talk about food or other things, and it's
or
gotten
soccer, sports.
yeah, sports or something. But not in terms of like from the way it's shown in a lot of entertainment or in pornography, not necessarily in those ways, but in ways where it is where we're able to discuss the wonderful positive benefits of it and the beauty of it as well.
That's beautiful. And what would you say is the main step for a victim of sexual abuse in the journey towards a healthy sexuality?
Well, the book, El viaje para sanar la sexualidad, excuse my pronunciation, but it's organized in terms of first becoming aware of what are the different repercussions to sexuality that can be caused by abuse, and then being able to understand how it's impacted you in terms of your attitudes about sex, sexual behaviors, your sense of yourself as a sexual person. And then it moves into issues around touch. There are automatic reactions to touch that can get instilled in a victim, now a survivor, that can be troublesome and get in the way of enjoying sexual pleasure as an adult. And then moving from these touch issues to being able to deal with issues that come up with a partner, and also relearning new approaches to touch where a person feels safe and in control of what's happening and able to communicate. And it's a whole new file, a whole new folder, a whole new way of of categorizing experience, and then being able to address specific sexual functioning problems and deepen connection, feelings of pleasure. So there's the journey. There are many steps, and the book is very comprehensive. Sometimes I've heard from readers that they will only feel comfortable reading the first couple chapters and then setting it aside, talking about that with friends or maybe with a counselor. It's very helpful as an adjunct to therapy. And then feeling ready to address other issues like sexual behavior or touch reactions or sexual problems. So it's kind of it's like a big menu that people can choose from. They can skip over parts. I encourage people to make it their own. Go with what they feel ready for. And of course, there are people who just read it from start to finish. I remember one person at a conference, a survivor came over to me at a conference and said, "I read your book. My partner and I, we read it out loud together. And we were able to fix our sexual problems. Thank you." It was like, wow, but that's, I think, more the unusual if somebody just, takes it. We did all the exercises, she said. But I think for most people, it's kind of like more, picking and choosing what they feel ready for and what resonates with them now.
Wow. I love so many things that you just talk about. First, it's tremendously empowering to hear you, to listen to you saying from victim to survivor.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And then to feel that this is a journey.
Yes.
And it may take as long as each person needs,
Right. I'm a survivor myself. So, I've been through the steps that are described in the book. In fact, writing the book brought up a lot of feelings for me and memories. And and at times it was, I needed to process my own issues in order to continue, as I was going to things I didn't think, like I had been date raped, had an acquaintance rape on a date. And I never really could put those words to it that it was an actual rape until I started writing my own book, and I go, okay, well, let's see. The definition of sexual abuse is when somebody dominates or exploits somebody with a sexual activity or suggestion. Actually, that happened to me. That happened several times. Okay, it's like, and I have these issues with touch. I never realized that maybe those issues with touch and feelings about certain body parts or things like that, I never realized, or certain sexual activities that, that was a part of the abuse. Okay, that was part of the rape. No wonder I have it's difficult. And then once I could bring it conscious, and then I could address those issues and move through it. And now, as a survivor, I think of myself as a thriver. I know the Spanish word for thriving, like doing wonderfully well, living life fully.
Florecer, prosperar, like blossoming.
Yeah. And now I have to, and I have a wonderful relationship that I've had for many years with my partner and husband, Larry. And so now I have to think, what I do remember what I went through, and but the feelings are so different, and that's how a lot of survivors of sexual abuse who've done recovery work describe it to me as well. It's like, that was then, that was my life then, or those were my reactions. Now I've created something very new and different and positive. So that can happen. And I'm just thrilled that the book can reach more people and offer them the tools for their own journey, for your own journey, and can experience that wonderful feeling of healing on the sexual level.
Absolutely. I know it will. And one of the things I also like is that at the final chapters, you suggest certain practices, certain exercises that you can practice either if you're single or with a partner, because also it becomes like a couple healing, like journey. And that is very beautiful also. And not necessarily only for victims of sexual abuse, but for any couple, like the exercises that you give there, it's like so many beautiful exercises for true intimacy, I believe.
Yes, they're called the relearning touch exercises, and there are some illustrations in the book, and they're described in detail how to do them, and they are also progressive and help survivors to learn these new approaches to touch. But many couples who aren't don't have sexual abuse as a history, have also used them to grow as a couple. And those exercises are demonstrated in a videotape that I have available for free on my website, healthysex.com. And it's the relearning touch techniques. So you can find that video. It's only in English, but it's because it's so visual. If you read the book, you can also benefit from seeing the demonstrations of it. But what's important to recognize is that intimate partners are also intimate partners of survivors are also victims of the original abuse. Their lives are impacted by that original abuse that the person they love went through. And the intimacy of the couple is harmed by the problems that the survivor may be having sexually and in terms of touch. So the book is there for intimate partners as well to become educated. And when both people, learn about the repercussions, they have a vocabulary for talking about it, and they can say, "Oh, well, how about that? It sounds like you're having a trigger." Okay, the term trigger is mentioned in the book, and an automatic reaction to touch. And here we can do these steps that we know can be helpful for addressing triggers. And partners learn that they need to really, they can benefit from supporting the survivor with being able to go slow and encourage communication and make changes and allow the survivor to be more in control of the touch and what happens, or take a break from sex and just focus on touch and loving touch and pleasurable touch for a while. That's described as a healing vacation from sex. So, when two people in a relationship are well informed and are working together in this journey, they can make incredible progress and they can strengthen their relationship. And that's what I hear. I hear from partners afterwards. They say, "I learned a lot. I've become a better lover because of going through this." I'm not going to fool anybody. It's not an easy journey, and a lot of feelings can come up along the way. And, like I said, counseling can be helpful, but in doing it and going slowly and progressively, it's amazing how it can benefit both people in a relationship.
Wow. I wrote certain phrases that I loved about your book, and one of my favorites was, "Love is stronger than abuse."
Yes, yes, yes.
And
I believe that. Yeah, I've lived that. And actually, I'm kind of relieved to know that, because it's a hard world out there, right? For a lot of people, and it is the loving connections that we have and can create with others that can keep us going and give so much. And this is, it's not dependent on how much money you have or what you look like. It's that feeling of being special and cared for and respected. And sexual abuse is often a betrayal of human trust and affection, especially when it happens in the family. And so it's this love, this healthy, strong, good love where you genuinely feel cared for and celebrated. That's what matters most in life.
How beautiful is that? And I also would like to say that you have a couple of poetry compilations, because I'm a poet and I love that.
Oh.
To encourage couples to read erotic literature, and you do have a couple of compilations. So hopefully they will be in Spanish soon. I hope so. I want to read that.
Oh, that would be wonderful. Yes, Intimate Kisses and Passionate Hearts. And I put those together a lot as part of my healing journey too. I wanted to, every day I was doing counseling with people about sexual hard problems they were having with sex. And I wanted to celebrate the beauty of love-based sexual intimacy. And so that's what happens in those collections. I'm glad you like it.
Yes.
Send me your poetry. I'd love to. Of course, I need the English translation, but good for you. That's it's a universal language.
Yes, yes. And you also mentioned passionate art. That's so beautiful. Because also, sexuality can be an art, and the approach that we can make to sexuality is an art. And I hear you, and I listen to your words, and I read your book, and I truly feel that from you. I felt that this reading felt like a big hug, for me. I know that for any victim from sexual abuse, it's going to be very helpful, and it's going to be a great journey from victim to, as you said, survivor to thriver. So just to wrap up the interview, could you like to say a few words to your Mexican readers?
Oh, well, I hope that you will I hope that you will benefit from the book and find it useful in your own life, and that you will forgive me for any, let's see if there are ways of saying things or stories that don't really fit because of the cultural differences. I mean, I worked very hard to make it a book, and I got lots of input from Evelyn and another wonderful woman, Natasha Prosperi, who read the manuscript in Spanish to make it, to make sure that it would be, a positive experience for Spanish readers, Spanish-speaking readers. But I hope, I wish you well and success, and and remember that you're not to blame for anything that happened to you in the past in terms of sexual abuse, and it wasn't your fault, and that healing is possible.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. And as you said, love is stronger than abuse.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Wendy. I wish you the best with this book in Mexico and in Latin America. I know it's going to be a very healing tool and very transformative tool for so many people. So I wish that you also sell hundreds of thousands of books like you have done with the English version. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Queridos amigos, pues vamos a cerrar esta entrevista que podríamos seguir de verdad horas platicando aquí con Wendy. Es una herramienta extraordinaria, el viaje para sanar la sexualidad, como ya lo escucharon, no solamente para víctimas de abuso sexual, sino para cualquier pareja, para cualquier persona que quiera de verdad sanar su sexualidad y tener una sexualidad, practicarla como un arte desde un punto de vista de verdadera intimidad. Qué valentía también aquellos que se atreven a hacer este viaje, dejando de ser las víctimas de este pasado y se atreven a ir a terapia, cualquiera que sea el caso, ¿no? Como haya sucedido. Entonces, vamos a dejarles aquí en la caja de descripción el link para que compren el libro que edita HarperCollins. Les vamos a dejar también el link para nuestra revista cultural, que chequen nuestra edición de este mes. Los invitamos a que se suscriban. Yo soy Fátima López para Revista Lee Más de Librerías Gandhi. Hasta la próxima.